live, Pierre.
Hockey Nation fans, welcome back to another early edition of the Hockey Nation Live Show. This is your co-host, directly from the Sunshine State, Coach Frenchy back. Oh, I'm at the Islanders.
Is this the Memorial Coliseum?
I'm just in front of Albert. I can see 1500, Bill Torrey. But we have to find our co-host number 2, directly from West Coast, Michael Devellano.
Here, is that Memorial Coliseum or Barclays Center?
So I guess
I think it's Barclays.
Yeah.
Does it look like Barclays? Yeah, because the Memorial is a little older.
Yeah.
Have you been to Memorial Coliseum?
No, I did not.
We would go there because you can get like $30 tickets. The fans are crazy.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's awesome, but yeah, it's so funny because you have to go when you live in New York, which we did. You have to go quite a ways on the train. It's at least an hour and 10 minutes to get to the Memorial Coliseum. But
yeah, I know.
Nassau Coliseum will be no more soon. Like they'll be in the new building.
Absolutely right about that. It's going to be a new building next year, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's the end of it. Good morning, Nicola, who was as usual first. Michael Rosenblatt says, "Rest in peace, Tony Esposito," and I think that's kind of the top news right now we have, which unfortunately Tony Esposito has passed away at 78 years old.
Quiet morning, but nobody here this morning. I don't know what's going on. People back at work, back at school, back somewhere else, so I don't know. But only Michael Rosenblatt, welcome back from Parkland, and Nicola the Gobi Bono. Wham! Nicola win last night, Michael, with Sly. And also we have 3 people won yesterday. We have Nicola with Kaden Jenkins, honestly, and we have Sly for the first time. So great to join them, and they find for the first time they won the Frenchy quiz, so it was pretty good. So congratulations for everybody. But it was one of the legend in hockey. I think you have not many people like him. Like Tony Esposito passed away at 78 years old, pancreas cancer. One of the unbelievable goaltender. If you follow him, you read about him. I was lucky. I went to the gym early this morning at 7 o'clock, and then I stayed there a long time because I cannot leave because I was listening the NHL network on the series make a show for 60 minutes about him and all the interview he did since like 1988, I believe. So it was pretty amazing to hear all the story about Tony Esposito, where really I know him, but I did not really know him because honestly, you don't follow them all the time. Chicago, I follow honestly Montreal, but wow, great, amazing. About that. It was story about it. It's do you know who made his mask?
No, who made his mask?
It's a guy from Montreal.
Oh, really? Because he was
they
originally
Britt Britt, and he did this for him after he asked Charles Plante during a time he was in St. Louis Blues, asking him about who did make his mask, everything like that. So they referred to him, and then it was Tony. Dave did it for him, and then at the beginning, the hole of his eyes was not big enough. So he is really, first of all, he's one of the first player Michael play in the NCAA and college.
That's crazy, right? When I was looking at that, and when you always forget he played at Western Michigan or Michigan Tech.
Yeah, it's called the Huskies, I believe, was Huskies.
That's a good question. I don't know what the Michigan Tech team is called.
I think that's what they are, I believe. So I see a jersey of him over there, but he's the one start his career over there. But the reason of his mask, Michael, is when he got it, he has a difficult time because he cannot see everything like that. And now he make it by himself. He was really, the guy was unbelievable. He make a big hole bigger. Then he realized the puck can come on his eyes. So that's why he had the grill over his eyes over there.
Wow.
That's the reason he wear that over there. Now after that, Michael, if you bring back his glove, his picture at the beginning of this picture you have, is the NHL, Michael, have rules about the blocker, right?
What's
We have
that?
no rule about the glove.
Oh,
So
okay.
he started to work with the depth of his glove to add bigger to can stop the puck more. So he create that kind, and then he put the white. If you see on this blocker here on his glove, he put this a little bit wider because you have no rule in the NHL. Then after
That's
that,
so
Michael,
interesting.
he
Everybody.
he started after that. What he did for his pad, he put some piece of fibers inside the pad, and he flat this, and it was wider the pad
Wow.
about that one over there. So he create all kind of stuff like that to improve his quality of a play hockey return as a goaltender about equipment. But there's something about that nobody knows. I did not know that. Do you know this guy cannot see?
He can't see. Why?
So he's always been to the school. He was always sit in the front of the class because he cannot see from.
He's farsighted.
Yeah. So because the NHL always recommend you have to have a really good view to follow the puck every time like that. He did not mention this to anybody. Nobody knew in NHL. Because
So
that time you have no test. So what he was one of the first player, Michael, wear a contact lens.
No way.
In
Wow.
NHL. That's why he started to see he was like 20 on 15 on the result of his eyes at some point in NHL. So he was about that one. And then he asked them about what do you think? How did you learn to be a goaltender like that? He said I was watching the Hockey Night in Canada. And his first goalie was Glenn Howell. Let him go, like he learned from him. But he said the really who changed his life, it was Terry Senchuk. Because he said Senchuk was the one who was going down. So
Right.
he was one of the first goaltender going down, and then he developed his ability to get better as a goaltender when he learned from Setchuk every time that. Then he learned from Johnny Bauer how controlling the puck with his stick. That's the number 3 goaltender. Then he said, Blake told him during the practice, never go down, stay up all the time. So he said, Blake did not understand. He said, when I went to Billy Ray, he said to him only one thing, just find a way to stop the puck. I don't care how you do it, just do it. He said Billy Ray never bothered him a lot. He said he have a great relationship with Billy Ray. But look, something, he started his career as a draft by the Montreal Canadiens. He started 5 games over there at first year. Then he got waived by the Montreal Canadiens because that time Montreal have like Gum Worsley and Roger Vachon, and then you have Ken Groudon. He was coming very soon after that. But what happened with him after that, he won the Calder Trophy his first year with the Chicago Blackhawks. He got his nickname Tony O because they still have the record, Michael, in NHL. 15 shutout in NHL. Nobody get it yet. And then after that, he won the Vizina back-to-back. Then after that, one more year later, after that, he got his third Vizina. But the legend, what he did in the NHL, he was amazing. One of the players was born in Sault Ste. Marie. Well, remember those years, they have Lou Naney. I don't know if you remember Lou Naney for the Minnesota Wild, Minnesota North Star. And they have always got that kind of relationship every time. A lot of great interview from Tony Esposito on the NHL, where you have a lot of great story. I can go all the way, and he worked with the Tampa Bay Lightning. He was general manager with the Pittsburgh Penguins at some point. He's a legend. Got retired his jersey. 35 was one of the first one wear number 35, Michael, in NHL at the early age 70s. Nobody wear that kind of number. So he was really unique at his own style. Whatsoever, Phil have his own style, but that thing. And do you know how many masks they produce?
No.
Only one.
Just for him?
Only him. Yeah, nobody, they never have a second or third mask. And the Hall of Fame rip ask him all the time. He still have the mask at home.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So you can see that picture, the mask, it was differently a little bit about the hole on the eyes. You can see it was a little bit bigger is the mask over there. So look, we can talk about him all the time, but those time, Michael, we don't remember, but he was a great goaltender in NHL.
3
You know what I
Vezina.
mean? Like you learn from Jerry Cheevers. After that, you follow with Ken Dryden and those Cesar Maniego. And I was crazy about goaltender. One thing we never mentioned also, he was a left-handed goaltender, where it was rare at that time. I think the biggest one it was Mike Palmetier in NHL. I can remember for the Toronto Maple Leafs. You know what I mean? So. But great story about him. I just want to mention him. I think, yeah, like you said earlier, an NCAA championship in 1965 and Michigan Tech. So he was one of really the first one, really smart guy at the end of the day. So just want to mention this about that.
So at the time when he was the general manager for the Pittsburgh Penguins, he made some really notable moves. One was to get Tom Barrasso from Buffalo, and Tom Barrasso had been the Rookie of the Year. And he was a young phenom, and he fell out of favor in Buffalo. It looks like Buffalo always self-sabotages, because then he goes to Pittsburgh, and although I don't think he wasn't the GM, I think, when this happened, but Tom Barrasso became a very key part of them winning the Stanley Cup. And then he also drafted Mark Recchi. And I don't think a lot of people knew who Mark Recchi was. It was like, who's this small little guy? And became obviously like a Hall of Fame type player. And I think he's a coach now, right, Mark? Is he still coaching with Carolina?
Oh, yeah, he's assistant coach.
Yeah. So I think he, even everything he did in hockey had such an impact. And it is really unusual that he would go to Michigan Tech. Like in those days, NCAA was definitely not, the way to go. His brother, who's a legend as well, like Phil Esposito was, an offensive juggernaut, went the traditional OHL route. And for him to go NCAA probably bought him some time and gave him the ability to develop his game a little bit. But it's kind of crazy when you look back, the team he played on in Montreal for 13 games, to your point, I guess there was like an intra-league draft of some sort, and they had to decide between protecting him and the legendary Gump Worsley.
So what happened is, like, at that year, the league was starting to change, Michael, 67, 68, everything like that. And before that, Montreal can pick up anybody in the world. You know what I mean? Like, they would pick up those guys. But at that time, you know what I mean? Like Vachon Worsley, like I mentioned earlier. So they put him on the waiver list. He never asked any trade. He just put him there. And that's how Chicago got him over there. And that's become an icon and legend. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just what I love to do, miss, to go back at those history legend players. It's someone where I think he was recognized, but with time, we never mention him again, right? It's like underrated, or we forget about him. Because when you talk about Chicago, Michael, the first 3 names in my book has always been Bobby Hall, Stan Mikita, right? And that was the 2 first biggest name to show up after that. And then Tony Esposito. He was my first goaltender, Michael, when I won my first game in NHL. It was him against Chicago, against Montreal.
What's interesting is he could have played with his brother Pierre. They had traded away Phil Esposito from Chicago. He played 4 years. They weren't overly excited about his play, and then they traded him to Boston. So he just kind of missed playing with his brother. So that would have been kind of something interesting. But it's interesting because the connection to Glenn Hall, I think that he got some exposure to Glenn Hall because of his brother.
Exactly.
Yeah, that could have been crazy. Imagine if they would have had both of those guys on the same team. And we know what Phil went on to do, some insane seasons. And they both represented Canada. So they were that's
a story we did not mention, Michael. He was a part of the Russia series 1972. Right. He was the second goaltender. He did 4 games with Ken Dryden. Who was the third goaltender, by the way? Do you know?
I don't know who the third goalie was.
Ed Johnson.
Oh, Eddie Johnson from Pittsburgh.
And he never played that. He never played He never played that series. He was the backup number 3.
That's funny.
But that happened. Oh my God! Inner Tap in the house this morning. Inner Tap will come aboard, but Inner Tap said Jim Pepin and Bill White.
Wow.
What was the number of Jim Pepin, Michael?
I don't know.
I believe it was number 8.
Was it?
I think Brett Hall was number 9 and Dennis Hall was number 10.
Yep.
And Ben White was wearing number 2.
Wow. Did he ever win a Stanley Cup?
Yeah, they won the Stanley Cup in 1970, the year after the Montreal 71. It was Boston. After that year, they won. Like, you have one Montreal, then Chicago, Boston, something like that. I don't know if you can figure out that one.
So this one in 70-71, I think that's the 18 games in the playoffs. So it's this season that they won the Stanley Cup. Wow. So Bobby Hull, Stan McKenna, Dennis Hall, who's a comedian, Pitt Martin.
Here we go. I got it, Michael. Jim Pepin, number 8.
Yeah.
Number 2, Bill White. I remember those. Michael. Keith Manuson, we never talk about him. Jerry Corab, we never talk about him. Those guy was unbelievable for Chicago. Over there, look Goody is another one over there. But those you remember the most. Pat Stapleton, that's another one we never talk about. I was a part of that one. Of course, Pete Martin you just mentioned. But wow, you know what I mean? Like when you consider about this, Dennis Hall, Michael, scored 40 goals.
I know he was a good player. Obviously it's tough when your brother is Bobby Hall, but he was no bum. He had scored 300 goals in 959 games.
Yep.
If you've ever seen him at any of the coaching events or anything, he's like a real jokester, right?
Exactly.
Not that Bobby isn't. I was watching last night, actually, Brett Hall on the bench for an All-Star game.
No, it's funny you talk about this because yesterday, Michael, we talked about the monkey, Michael and someone else like those, like they are 14, 15 years old, right? And some of them, like Dixon, I think Dixon is born in 85, he said, anything like that. And then I was mentioning about the game between Russia and Montreal Canadiens, the best game ever. It was the final score 3-3 December 31st. And then someone show up with 1975. But after that, we talk about a series. I said to the boys, go on the YouTube channel to find those games in 1932. Go read about those series because honestly, Michael, that changed the hockey and around the world after that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because we did not know before that the Russia team. We did not know about those kind of players or like that. And Canada show up, and then since that changed completely, then the other country step up. And you think about this, Michael. After that, you follow up with Russia. Then after that, you got a Sweden show up better. Then you got the Finland. Now you think about now Slovakia is getting better, and then you also now German. I think the Germany is getting better in hockey, so it's developing better. And on the women's side, for many years was only USA and Canada. And you can see now there are other teams step up more and more around. So you can see it's all around the world now, hockey. But 1972, it was one of the biggest. I remember me in Canada. I'm sure, I was at the school, I believe, and they had to stop the school afternoon to watch the game, the final game number 8. We have a stupid TV. Black and white. He was on the big. It was like I remember that one where it was like watching the game live. He didn't want us to do anything school. Everybody was watching the game. It was crazy about that one of there. That's make Paul Anderson. You know what I mean? The biggest best figure in the world, like in Canada, because he's gold. And I remember, I don't know if it was this game like 6-5, if I can call it that number. We talk about Ivan Cournoyer on that time. If Mahavlich, oh my God, that was amazing.
Yeah, I don't think either one of us played in the NHL, Michael. Definitely not. Pierre played in them.
I remember that's, exactly. Tap. Leo Jalbert in the house, Michael. Leo is, it's another great historian about hockey. Leo is not young, also like me. He's older, I'm sure, of this area. But, Leo knows a lot about hockey. Everything like that knows, knowledge, Tap. Anybody want to know if you play in the NHL? I'm not sure about that, Michael. We'll see.
You played. You didn't play in the NHL, did you?
Assisted by Ivan Cournoyer. Here we go. See, I remember that goal.
Oh, that's crazy.
It was a good time. You know what I mean? Like, that's make us hockey to love the game every time like that. And another guy was said this morning, Michael. We know the athletes, right? We know Tony Esposito, right?
Yep.
But we don't know them. because we know the athlete, but we don't know the guy. We don't know the human being. You don't know everything about it. We feel like, you know what I mean? Like, I know Tony Esposito. I never talked to him. I never met him. You know what I mean? Like,
I did.
that's, but that's the point, right?
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
I actually know that I met them because, so when I was in Toronto, I had a connection at the time when I was coaching in the GTHL to the OHL team, which was the Mississauga Ice Dogs. And when there was the lockout, and I think it was 0405, Phil Esposito was trying to put together a league. And there was the WHA, right? The World Hockey Association. So someone owns those assets. And he said, hey, will you be the commissioner of the WHA? And I said, okay, that's interesting. And Phil Esposito wanted to talk. So Phil calls me, his lawyer calls me first of all, and then Phil calls me, goes, hey, can you get us tickets to the game tonight? Get us a box for the OHL game. And I'm like, sure, I'll try. So I called the owner, which is at the time was Mario Forgione. And I knew the coaches, Greg Gilbert and Mario Chiquilo. They were both mentor coaches for me in Toronto. And I'm like, hey, Phil Esposito wants to get a box. That was the message I left. And then I got a call back from Mario. Goes, yeah, no problem, taken care of. So it was Bobby Hull showed up with Phil Esposito and Phil's lawyer. And we ended up meeting Tony at another time. But that was like, because we were having meetings about trying to put together like a renegade professional league.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? And then Phil was like, what do we need this WHA guy for? We'll just start our own league. And then, of course, the NHL came back. But
yeah, the WHL, yeah.
But this is so the WHA was in the 70s, but the asset of the WHA, all the logos, the jerseys were owned by this guy, Ricky Smith. And when the NHL went on lockout in 2004-05, that's when all this stuff happened. So that's how I got to meet the Espositos.
Okay.
And Bobby Hull.
Yeah, I like when I was in charge about hockey tournament, everything like that, and I coached AAA in Montreal, everything, I met a couple of times Maurice Richard, Ivan-Luc Cournoyer, Lafleur, those guys, right? But honestly, my point was like, we cheer for them, we think we know them as the fans, right? But honestly, we don't know about who they are, everything like that. You know what I mean? Like some people, and he was really good about the people. Like he will tell you some story about him. He would say to someone, how I can help you, how I can do something for you. You know what I mean? Like some stuff we don't know, honestly, everybody else, right?
Yep. Well, rest in peace, Tony. That's very sad. I know he had a brief battle with cancer, and that's very unfortunate. He was pretty young. He was only 78. So hopefully, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of accolades that are coming in and tributes, but it's very sad to see him pass.
Yeah, definitely it was about that one there. Today, I clear how much more under the microscope. Thanks for this to the social media. Yes, exactly about that. Tap. The people are every move they do. Honestly, you can ask maybe Governor Como. That's another story. But there's Jean Gregor. Welcome aboard, Jean Gregor in the house from Boston. Welcome back, Mr. Vibes. He's a really good. Leo, how you doing? Leo, you have we give you the right, Leo. We have no rules here. You can set a second sentence or a second message because Leo, the last 3 times he come to the chat, he said hi, and then he disappear. Hi, Leo is the #1 fan of Patrick Roy, by the way, Michael, and he just won Patrick Roy with the Montreal Canadiens. Everything like that, but Leo is a good guy. Everything like that. So welcome everybody. Don't forget, guys, to click on the likes. We're on the road of the 1,500 subscriber, and we want to get there. Michael, you do not know that because I did not talk about this to you, but we started this yesterday. We have now a membership.
Yeah, you've been saying that so what's the membership entail?
The membership starts at $2.99, $4.99, something like that. You go $9.99 and $14.99. So at the end of the day, you have a private art school, everything like that, a private video, everything like, you get all the kind of stuff like that around the NHL. We produce and we bring content, everything like that. Private Zoom at some point, and we're going to grade this. All the description is under the website. Honestly, if you click on the the community or something like that, you can get there. By the way, every day morning at 6 o'clock a.m., Michael, maybe you don't know yet, but we have a question on the website. I don't know if you can click on it or check about this, but every morning, 6 a.m., we have a question on a pool about fun question. Today was about Kaprizov, how much money he can get below 8, between 8 to 10, or 10 a plus. So that was the question this morning. We have about an average of 35 to 50 people participate, Michael, now the morning. So it's fun to see that's not the morning only, but all days, 24 hours. So it's fun to see people participate and join. And that's how we do these fun things, right?
Yep.
Oh, he's working. I'm sorry about that, Leo. But thanks to stop by the way. Salut, Nicolas. You say, French Canadian people, I love it.
All right, so we had a signing that yesterday we were talking about the cap situation with Winnipeg, and we had just reviewed Kevin Cheveldayoff and gave him a grade. And we were kind of debating what Neil Pionk would get. And I think, we were both speculating. They only had $6 million in cap. They don't even have 12 forwards with that number. And I was like, I don't know how you don't give this guy at least $5 million. And it might even be 6. And what does he get? He gets 5.8. So they'd have no cap room.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm, first of all, do you know he was never been drafted?
Yeah, he was signed, I guess, by New York Rangers. And he had a great rookie year with the New York Rangers.
Yeah, but I said he was undrafted, right?
Yeah, I know that. He was signed by the New York Rangers. That's what I said.
Okay.
So it's interesting. He, whoops, wrong team. I don't know how they're going to do this, Pierre. Let's take a look.
Open, Michael. 15. Right, here we go. Your mouse is too fast.
0. So they're actually negative at this point. So I don't know.
Yeah, they have like $2.1 million over. Now, can you go up? How many players they have signed already? Higher.
12 forwards.
I know. If you go out higher, he tell you how many players they have.
8 defensemen, and then 2 goalies. So they've put Eric Comrie on.
So they are 22. So the max is 23, right? Yeah. So they can get there. Now, what happened about that one? You check barely the lineup. They have 12 forward. They're missing 1 forward, honestly. And minimum over there they have to add. And then on the defenseman, where I think the biggest problem they get, I did not know, but I don't. For me, they got Schmidt over there, and that hurt them. At the end of the day, it was $6 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 defensemen, right? Yeah. Maybe they will drop 1 over there, but probably they cannot drop like 1, 2, 3, 4. The first top 5, Michael, all right? It's like 11, 16, $23 million right there. Yeah. It's a lot of money if you think about that for the top 5, and then you have to go Beaulieu, and then you have Stanley behind that. He was regular. I know chance for Niku, so they will return maybe Niku in the minor. That's not good enough.
Well, if they move Niku and Boyo, they're like right at the cap because that's $2 million. So that brings them down to 81. So it's crazy, Pierre. They're just like, and then I don't know. Do they have long term? I guess that already factors in long term. I don't know how they do this. They're going to be ready.
We know Beaulieu was on the injury list at the end of the year, so I don't know why he's feel about this. I don't know if his hands is fixed, everything like that. But at 1.2, 1.9, that's not good enough. They're still missing $200,000.
Well, again, what I'm saying is 1.25 and 7.25 are most likely what come off. And the question, you probably have a guy they haven't even signed Andrew Kopp yet.
No.
So these contracts, I think Gustafsson will be in the minors, but you're below 12 forwards, Pierre. So I guess if you move out Harkins, you move out Tonantino, or Gustafsson.
But you have 13 forward. It's just like Kopp, it does not count yet as a 12.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So if you move out Gustafsson to the minors and Harkins, you're back down to 11 forwards. So let's count 1, 2, 3. 4,
yeah, you have 12 right now.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 forwards. So, I mean, there's going to be a way to do this, but it's definitely tight.
Yeah.
I mean, this is killing them, right? Like, I don't know. That's crazy.
They said that Inota mentioned about Calgary got a deal already with the Montreal Canadiens, and they expect him to be there Thursday. So
Why?
I don't know this will be is right or wrong about that one over there. But
Jeez.
Nicolas, Montreal would be very difficult time to make the playoff. I agree with you, Leo, about that one over there. I don't think so. They will make. They are for me. They're about 20-30% to make the playoff on the wild card. I agree with you, Nicola, Leo, about that one over there. Winnipeg is make a trade marker like they for cap space. They will have to do something for sure about that one over there. The problem you're going to get is not going to be easy to move Nate Schmidt, and you know what I mean. Like it's I don't know. I don't know how they manage this. There will be a team for Michael to follow about that one over there, to see how they're going to fix the situation over there.
Yeah. So I think I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. They'll sign Cobb. Gustafson probably won't start on the roster. Harkins won't start on the roster. And then you got Niku and Boyo will come off. So at that point, you're like, I don't know. They're pretty tight, man. Even with that, they're right at the cap, which is fine because you can be at the cap. But they're obviously gonna have to shuffle pieces. I don't know if they'll have to.
If you think about this, Michael, by the way, they don't have a big contract.
It's all middle. I mean, not really.
Not really. The only one right there is Blake Wheeler at 8.2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I believe a corner Sheffley and the Ellers, they are pretty good at that money over there. This boy usually at $5 million is pretty good. And I think Maurice is good at 6.2. And now Pionk a little bit higher for me. But again, they are Dylan at 3.9 and then Demelo at $3 million. That's not bad. I think only thing there is Neil Schmidt. I don't know why they had him. Why they get him at $5.9 million for that one? One you have already Michael Logan Stanley, Nathan Beaulieu. You have Niku, and we don't talk about the Finland. Is it Aniola or Aniola?
Yep, Aniola.
So you know what I mean. Like I don't know what they get to Schmidt, and Schmidt is for 4 more years, Michael. I don't get that one, to be honest with you.
Schmidt is a capable defenseman. He's just overpaid. So I'm surprised that they didn't get.
Oh yeah. I agree with you about that one there.
It's like at 5'9", you're like, if he's 4'9", you're less worried. If he's 4'5", you're happy, right? Like, so it's going to be interesting. He just got a big reputation because when he was in Vegas, they were pumping him up as their top 2 defenseman, and he definitely wasn't. They moved.
It's funny, talk about Pierre-Luc Dubois, Michael, because I'm doing a video the next couple of days about which player I expect as the comeback. You know what I mean? Like a player where he had a bad year last season. Now we expect more from them. You know what I mean? One per team, and Pierre-Luc Dubois is my selection for the Winnipeg Jets, where I believe he's going to be better at what I think. I think he's going to be better. Like I expect about 20 goal, about 20 goal, and about 60 point. Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to have a good year over there.
You hope so. I mean, I think the reality is he's had one decent year. He was maybe considered the franchise player in Columbus, but I think we're seeing he's probably down on the depth chart in Winnipeg. Like he's not a number 1 centerman, but he could play number 2, and it looks like they might play him on the wing, Pierre.
Yeah, he should play on that wing on the side at least. Yes, because now you have Paul Stastny. Now they can use Paul Stastny in the 3rd center, Michael.
But with Adam Lowry, I think that's like he's got that pretty locked up. Like Stastny, that's why Stastny's useful. He's getting up there. I guess 1 year is okay at this, but I would have liked to have seen him a little cheaper. At this point, he's never been like an offensive juggernaut. He's gotten points, but he had a good year. 29 points in 56 games. So I don't know. I guess it's worth it. I guess 3.7 makes sense then.
Yeah.
He's a good 2-way player. He can play center, and you're right. He could play on the 3rd line if he had to. But
yeah, I think so. I think they would try to get like Russell and then a chance for him to step up over there, because you think about this. Another one I think they should look more close for the top 6 is Andrew Coop.
Maybe. I mean, Copp had a good year.
Because he had a good year last season. I think he had like about 15 goals about last year.
I think you're right. Like, look at Dubois. You know, he's had one good year there. He had an okay year here. He hasn't played very long. He'll be fine. Because we forget how
He's
young.
looking about 20 goals, Michael, and 40 assists. 60 is a good year for him.
Yeah, that would be top end for sure. I think he can get there.
Yep.
There's just too much talent. He's better at center, but interesting. It's no goals in the playoffs. After he had a pretty good playoff the year before with Columbus.
Leo, Michael, they all speak in French right now. I follow them right now. You guys maybe not understand everything, but Leo, Michael, Leo stopped to play. He stopped to watch hockey when they trade Piqué Subban, Michael.
I was wondering what he says. Where'd he go?
Yeah. So he stopped completely. Like he did not watch hockey until last season.
Really?
Yeah.
They're so much better without him now.
So he take it very seriously, Leo. Calm down, Leo. Don't take it too much. But it's fun to see you back and now to come back in the game and listen about that one. Yeah. So j'ai pas eu le temps de me faire une opinion encore, Léo, que je trouve ça comment. Kulak Nicolas, c'est un joueur qui va jouer sur la 6e et 7e défenseur. Yeah, unfortunately, Caleb Porter, Tony Esposito passed away. Mr. Tony O.
Yeah, very, very sad day for hockey, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Don't forget, guys, to click on the like. That'd be awesome if you don't mind to get this. Looking for 15. Ronnie Odette. Did we say hi to Mr. Ronnie Odette, Michael? If not, we'll welcome him.
Yeah, you said hi before. Hi, Ronnie. All right. So, Pierre, today we were going to review 3 new general managers that we're going to rate. I'm not sure these guys are going to get great marks. And hi, Ronnie. That's a while ago. But the first one, the first person let's take a look at is the Philadelphia Flyers and Chuck Fletcher. And actually, I'm going to go to cap friendly and let's take a look at their cap situation. But when Ron Francis took over the Philadelphia Flyers, there was one big issue, and they had a lot of bad contracts and they were really old.
Ron Hextall, sorry. What did I say? Francis.
Yeah, Ron Hextall.
I was not sure at the beginning. I just holding myself. He said Francis. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I did. Ron Hextall came in, inherited a bunch of terrible contracts that Paul Holmgren had signed. He proceeded over time to, number one, stock this team with young prospects and talent, clean up the old junk contracts, and then at the precipice of when that team was going to turn the corner, he gets fired. By who? Paul Holmgren. So then Chuck Fletcher, who had been fired as the general manager in Minnesota, comes over. So since that time, a lot of this still has Ron Hextall's stamp all over it. We know they inherited Giroux from a prior regime. He did bring in Kevin Hayes, and I think the Kevin Hayes move has been very good for them. He's a little bit expensive for me at $7 million, but he's a very good two-way player. He has a history with Alain Vigneault. I think Chuck Fletcher also signed James Van Riemsdyk, right? Or was that maybe that was Hextall? I'm trying to think. When did they sign James Van Riemsdyk? So this is 2018-19. So maybe that was Hextall. Let's take a look. Has it been that long now? When did he take over? 2018. So December 3rd, he was hired by Philadelphia. So I think that Hextall might have actually been the one to sign Van Riemsdyk. Yeah, that would make sense then. All right, so Chuck Fletcher didn't sign him. That's also Ron Hextall, Pierre. So let's see. What other moves did Chuck Fletcher make? Travis Konechny was a Ron Hextall draft. He made the trade to move Voracek out and bring in Atkinson. This actually is a pretty good move, I think, and we'll see how it turns out. But I like this move. They're getting a bit of salary relief with the move because we know that Voracek's contract was kind of high. Konechny at times has looked like the best player, and at times he hasn't. Joel Farabee is a Ron Hextall draft pick, and so is Morgan Frost, and those guys are coming along. Provorov was a Ron Hextall draft pick. We know he made the big trade for Ryan Ellis, which I kind of like. I think this is probably a good move. He moves out Philippe Myers, which was undrafted free agent signing at some point. Who else did he move out as part of that trade? Was Cody Glass, right? So they flipped Nolan Patrick, who they've given up on, who we know has had, was supposed to be the next franchise player and probably was capable of. And he makes an aggressive move to get Rasmus Ristolainen. He brought in Justin Braun. Matty Niskanen retires on this. Travis Sanheim is a Ron Hextall draft pick. Carter Hart is a Ron Hextall draft pick. I was very surprised with the Martin Jones signing. I think Brian Elliott is a better goalie than him. And they gave this guy $2 million. Like, this guy can't even get a 900 save percentage. So I don't know. Overall, they missed the playoffs last year. They looked like they were going to do okay. And then the bottom fell out in this team. I feel like they just underachieved overall. And then Couturier was a Ron Hextall draft pick, I believe, right?
Which one?
Sean Couturier.
I don't think it was Ron Hextall. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting. It's just a mix, obviously. I'm not sure how to rate Chuck Fletcher, except they missed the playoffs. They got 3 NHL coaches on the bench, and that did not work out great last year. We saw Carter Hart go from being a top goalie to having, the first fall off the map. So I think that definitely hurt them. And I think Carter Hart did have a disappointing year. Carter Hart has never had a disappointing year. I think that there was something weird going on with the goaltending coach, and Carter changed a lot of stuff off the ice. And I don't know if that was influenced by Philadelphia, but they definitely pushed their own goaltending coach. He had always worked with Shane Clifford before. And whatever was going on with Carter off the ice, I don't know if you can blame that on the GM or if you can blame it on Carter, but either way, that definitely kind of put a nail in their season.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to rate this guy. I kind of feel like this is a C-.
But like I said, for me, so talking about the manager. So he was assistant general manager in 1993, 1994 with the Florida Panthers. He been there for 6 years and then he got his first job as a general manager in NHL a little bit at the beginning of 2000 with the Florida for only one year. And then he left for the Mighty Ducks as assistant general manager. And then it's definitely got, after that, a couple of jobs, general manager in the American Hockey League. Then in 2009, that's where he really became a general manager in NHL. He's been there almost 10 years with the Wild, Michael. That's pretty amazing when you think about that. And then he finally got a job with the Flyers. The biggest move of what he did when he came here, he gave a chance to the coach for the Seattle Kraken, Dave Axtell.
Which did not work.
And then he fired him after his first year over there. He did not make the playoff. And then he signed after that Alain Vigneault, where his first year they lost the second round. Remember, during the time it was the bubble. And then Carter Hart had a great year. And then they lost. They beat the Montreal Canadiens. And then they go all the way after that. They lost after that. I think it was Islanders. I can recall it. I could be wrong, but I think it's Islanders beat them. Then after that, last season, they really played under what their expectation was, only 0.518. You're absolutely right. They are also with Alain Vigneault, Michel Therrien, Mike Yeo over there. They now send Yann Laperrière as head coach for the Louisville, or the Phantom, now they call it, the Phantoms in the American Hockey League. He make a couple of changes. He try right now. The problem, I believe, Michael, he got a little bit the older guy, the player, like the press time. I think it was Giroux and Voracek. You know what I mean? Like they got at 30 something like that. The loss, I think they really did not calculate well, is the loss of Niskanen last season. I think that made that team really out of the ride, because without Niskanen, I think the defensive, I think also they gave too much credit from Philip Myers. I think Myers did not play the level he was supposed to play last season. And I think the contract of Kevin Hayes is something hurt them at $7 million. But I think he's
a good player. It's a little high. I think if he was $6 million, you wouldn't worry about it. But I will say, watching a lot of him, he's a very good leader. He's 6'5". He gets points. He can play in all situations, and I think the prior relationship with Vigneault was a big part of this. But you would rather see him at $6 million.
Yeah, sure. So that hurt over there $7 million, right? He's not, because right now he's the number one, most like number 1-2 center that team, and then $7 million, a lot of money. You think about that to get there. That would be better if you get, because honestly, you never have a lot of point over in like 50 point in NHL. So for $7 million, I think that's a lot of money, to be honest with you. Never score more at 25, only one time, 2 times over 20 goals per year. So for me, it's not if you want to build that punch 1 and 2, that's not what you should get at $7 million for. You expect more for that guy over there. But at the end of the day, I think Fletcher, he did not decide to rebuild, but what he decided to do, Michael, is make a trade to refresh the defensive, right? They got Rand Ellis. What they realized, Papanov cannot do it by himself now, so they need a support over there. So they get that one. I think they satisfied their defensive right now with that kind of trade, and they got for the last couple of weeks about that one over there, right? And then they got Ramus Ristonelin. That's another pick over there where, I would be surprised what he's going to do, Ristonelin, because Michael, right now, Ristonelin was the one playing power play behind Dahlin in Buffalo. Right now, he's behind Provorov, Ellis, and behind Kate Yandel. Now he become number 4 on power play. So we'll be interesting how he's going to be happy or not happy about that one.
He's not good of a defenseman. Like defensively, he's not very good.
No. So it'll be very interesting about that one there. So they refresh about that one over there. Now they trade Nolan Ryan, Nolan Patrick over there. That's what they're forward. They maybe have a couple of players coming from the prospect down. You maybe step up a little bit over there. But at the end of the day, Michael, that Flowers, it's have to be make the playoff. And remember, I'm going to tell you, if they make the playoff this year, it's going to be because of number 79. That's it. That's all. Yeah, nothing else. It's the 79. They carry on them all the way to the playoff, or 79 not going to be like he was last season, and then it's not going to happen about that one over there. So that's what I be. But they need more. Like we don't talk a lot about Musk and Frost over there. I think Frost is a great young players over there. They can get Cam York is another one we don't talk a lot about. Those. So you have a couple of players like this, a prospect. I think they can step up this year, at least close to be there, and then to maybe helping that Flowers over there. I think they get trade. I like this trade Voracek for Atkinson. I think that's good for them. It's a little bit, like both them struggle, but I think Atkinson will bring a little bit more energy. Great PK that will help them about that also. So I think overall that's pretty good.
Atkinson struggled because Cam Atkinson had 15 goals last year, and he's what he is. He's a 25 goal guy. Normally 30 goals when he on a good year. I think
when you play with a team like Columbus or Buffalo and they have a bad year, you don't expect to score 30 goals, right? So that's just part of what it is. He have 15 goals. He looked like an all-star compared to Patrick Laine, by the way.
No, for sure. Like this, I think they won this trade. Voracek I like, but he's not a goal scorer, right? He's a playmaker.
Yeah,
and he's got a much bigger salary. He's $8 million, and Cam Atkinson at 5.8. He's been a very, very consistent goal scorer, and I think he'll probably play with the best centerman he's ever played with in the last 4 years. He'll play with Couturier, and Kevin Hayes is a little bit like a more offensively talented Dano. He's a big guy. He plays a 200-foot game. At $7 million, it's too much money for me. However, in the game, you're very happy to have him on your team as your second-line centerman. He can kill penalties. You can put him in front of the net on the power play. He's a very good leader in the room and on the bench. But, I wish it was $5.5 million like Dano. That would be a lot nicer.
I'll just follow up the conversation between Nico. Yeah, Leo, I understand about the Lafleur, Juan Markov. The one thing Michael and Leo, what he said, I think is something, it's funny. Montreal, they have a great reputation in hockey, like what he did, the Yankees or the Cowboy Dallas, whatever they call it, right? But they have a difficult time to finish the player finish their career in Montreal properly. Like,
Yeah.
recognize them and not recognize them, but they finish like, you know what? We have a great career here. And I think like that's what he mentioned about Lafleur, Barkov, who can go with Radulov and Subban all the way like that. But I think you're absolutely right. Leo, he nailed it on that one over there for sure. And not upset heart, I have a disappointed year. Yeah, we know that. And Michael talk about him a lot. He knows him very well. And I think he's absolutely right about that one. Welcome back, Mr. Stefan Manberg. He's back from Sweden.
So overall, what do you give a rating to Chuck Fletcher? And then we'll quickly try to look at the other two GMs.
Yeah, then after that, we have the Phillies have O'Neill goaltender. Phillies have a difficult time to find a goaltender, a number one. For many years, Michael, we can go all the way from the beginning of 2000. To be honest with you, we have Mr. Farrell Amogus back in the house a long time ago. A couple of days we did not see him, Mr. Farrell Amogus. Great. Hadn't fair Martin John the playoff backup. Yeah, I cannot hear yet. Michael talked a lot about Martin Jones the time he was with San Jose Sharks. Keaton Jenkins is back in the house this morning. Keaton's the winner of the quiz with Nicola and also Sly Avs guys. So thanks, Keaton, to be here this morning. Glad to see you. Maybe see you tonight. Christian Yandel on defense. Yak his career 160. They will not play together, I can tell you that. But I think Yandel, Michael, for 900,000, he's going to do great on the defense number 5 is 6, and he's going to bring a lot of dimension. One thing he's good, Michael Yandel, I see him many years in Florida. His power play quarterback is the top 5 best defenseman as a power play.
Yeah,
he's great.
He's terrible 5-on-5 though, and so is Ristolainen. So it's
I agree with you about that. I just mentioned like Yandel for 900,000 as a quarterback. I think you'll be fine with that one.
All right, we have two other teams to talk about. What is the grade that you gave to Chuck Fletcher? I gave him like a C-, but
I will go with C-, C, something like that, but not much more of that.
Yeah, I kind of feel like there's a lot to be proven here. I don't see them doing anything. I don't even think we had them making the playoffs. Yeah, Inertab D, Swiss cheese. I don't like the moves they made on D. I don't know what they did around Carter Hart, and I think Paul Holmgren's influencing.
Have a good one, Leo. See you later. Look forward to see you. Don't forget, evening, 9 o'clock, morning, 11 o'clock. Thanks, Leo. Have a good day at work.
All right, so quickly, San Jose Sharks. I don't know if we have time to do these other teams, but San Jose Sharks is the other team we were going to look at, and then also the Chicago Blackhawks. So San Jose has this one guy named Evander Kane who is signed long-term, and he's $7 million a year. He's got 4 more years. We know that he's got a no movement clause, and I never understood this move because he had so much controversy around him in Winnipeg. It ended in Winnipeg with Dustin Byfuglien taking his equipment, throwing it in the shower, and he went to Buffalo, which is kind of the dumping ground, and they didn't even want him. And then they signed this guy, and on paper, he's got good numbers, but when you watch him game in, game out, he's kind of like an individualistic player. He's got great athletics, but now you're hearing that the other players do not want him back, given all the off-ice distractions. You
know what you remind me, Michael? Those guys are football player like Tyrell Owens, so those guys are football player. They have like a second life outside of the game. Everything. Does that make sense? Like what I said, I'm sure you have other football player, but it remind me a little bit of the distraction, what he do outside of what he's supposed to do, and at the same time, their skill or talent is still there. That's what is sadness behind that.
For sure, but he's always been a very controversial figure in the dressing room for whatever reason. So, it's not like hockey players are saints. So if you've got a guy that stands out like that for his off-ice behavior, it's always I was just very surprised, Pierre, that Doug Wilson signed him as long as he did. On the flip side, then they make the Erik Karlsson trade and then sign him to an insane contract. And it seemed pretty obvious that Erik Karlsson's best days were behind him. The biggest problem with that trade, Pierre, is then they finish so low that Ottawa gets Tim Stützle in the draft. So like, I'm pretty sure was that the draft pick? Was it Tim Stützle?
I'm sorry again.
Oh, Erik Karlsson's contract. He was traded from Ottawa, right?
Yeah, it was straight for Ottawa. Yeah.
So they give up Josh Norris. They give up a whole bunch of other pieces here. They trade Josh Norris, Rudolph Balcer, Chris Tierney, Dylan DeMello, and a second pick, and a first pick that ends up being Tim Stützle.
Yep.
And then they sign this insane $11.5 million contract long-term. It's like a rock in the middle of their cap. And then the reality is we saw this guy's, he's had some injury problems. He's not the player he once was when he was a Vezina Trophy winner. And even when he was, he had a little bit left to be desired as far as a defensive side of his game. We know there was a lot of controversy when he left Ottawa. It wasn't really his fault. So I don't think Erik Karlsson's a bad person. However, he's older and he's not a big guy and his body's taken a lot of punishment. And now you've committed 2 contracts here that are very questionable and they're really hurting them.
Well, that's the part of it. What Doug Wilson is, Michael. I did not know that. Michael, Dave, Doug Wilson is with them from 1997, Michael.
Yeah. He was drafted by them in the expansion draft.
Do you know he's the brother of Murray Wilson?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He's Murray Wilson, played with the Montreal Canadiens a long time ago, wearing number 17. But now he's general manager, Michael, since 2004, 2003 and 4. He's a general manager, Michael. Have a couple of great years. He draft very well. He pick up all those guys. He got a couple of trade. But he got beat by a couple of trade, like you mentioned. I think the last 4 or 5 years, he did not do well as a manager overall for me. And that's what, the contract cost him, Michael, after Drew Doughty is one of the worst in NHL at that moment with Jeff Skinner, with Drew Doughty. So that gives you an idea.
I mean, I would disagree on the Doughty one personally, but I think Drew Doughty's still a very high, compared to Erik Karlsson, he's definitely high level still.
Yeah, because the stat that on the analytics said because $11 million or anything like that. But I think the problem is the management of Doug Wilson overall for what he did. I think that's a problem. You know what I mean?
I agree. I give him a D, to be honest with you. I mean,
oh yeah. The only thing I can give him is a D plus. I don't know if he can give a D plus at that moment. But, it's a team struggle more and more. They have a good run. I think was 15, 16, 17, I believe.
They were in the final not that long ago.
Yeah.
They keep going back to Patrick Marleau. They kept going back to Joe Thornton. Now they've got a bunch of pieces in there that are just clogging up the middle. I don't like the Kevin LeBanc contract. It's not horrible, but it's not great. I do like the Alexander Barbunov acquisition. That's a good thing that'll probably pay off for them this year. But he's overrated Brett Burns. He's overrated Marc-Edouard Vlasic. He's overrated Erik Karlsson. Like, you've got for $30 million, and it's pretty much between 4 defensemen.
Yeah, the other contract he did not very well is Vlasic, right?
Right. Marc-Edouard Vlasic has not been good.
And he got his contract, $7 million, something like that?
Yeah, and long term, and he's got a no movement clause, and he's just gone off the deep end since that. He's not a good defenseman anymore. He's really struggled. He's not, he's 34, so I get it. He's getting up there, but, they still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years with this guy. No one's going to take that contract here.
Michael, do you know that? Saying he's a GM, all right? He did not go to the playoff San Jose only 2 times until 18-19. Now they did not go for the last 2 years. Just give you an idea how, and lost in conference, semifinal, quarterfinals, semifinal, the final, and final. Those at the beginning of 2010, Michael, San Jose was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's the last 2 years they struggled a lot for Doug Wilson. Michael, before that team from 2003, Michael, 2003 until 18-19. They have the worst season was .543. Overall, it's about 600 and more, Michael. That's amazing. When you think about that.
They definitely had a lot of success, but I think they've being loyal to guys and at this age is crazy. If you clear, you'd have to clear out. Like even Logan Couture is 32, Pierre. So they don't re-sign Joe Pavelski. We haven't talked about Pavelski. We haven't talked about Donskoy. They won't give Joe Pavelski even $5 million. He goes and gets $6 million in Dallas, and what happens? Dallas goes to the Stanley Cup final.
I would say there's something to Michael. I would give him a D right now, but the last 2 years. But prior to that, Michael, I have to give him a B.
But for sure, but he's living on the past of that roster. It's a mess.
Oh yeah, I understand that. I just want to mention, you know what I mean? Like I look his record, like, oh man, gee, that's one of the best in the NHL.
Yeah, I think he's created a bunch of problems for himself. They overestimated where they were. They've overvalued guys late in their career, and they're giving them retirement contracts. Like this is going to be a graveyard unless he can figure something out dramatic.
Yep. And I'll be honest with you. One thing I don't like is the signature of the coach Bob Bonner. I never been a fan of him.
Oh, Bob Bugner?
Yeah.
It's not horrible, but it's not great.
But he never. Since he's an NHL as a coach, Michael, he never performed well.
Yeah, he was in Florida before.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that roster wasn't quite amazing. He had one good year and then kind of fell off, right?
Yep.
If they lose Hurdle, the fans will be and that's the other thing, Pierre. If you look at this, Hurdle is unrestricted next year. This is the one guy you want to keep. Like that's the guy that should get $7 million.
Yeah,
you're committed to.
Farrell Auguste is really right about that.
Like Couture's 32 now. Meyer and Hurdle should be the core of this team now. They made the final. They should have then realized, hey, we're done with this group. Like, why are we paying them forever and ever just because they made the final and didn't win? So I feel like this is going to hurt them for a long time. And then to lose Tim Stützle is like, they don't even benefit from being bad. Now they draft a pretty good player in William Eklund, but that's to remain to be seen when he'll play in the NHL. And then he committed to Martin Jones, and now he has to eat Martin Jones's contract. I don't know. They're a bit of a mess.
Yeah, we have a couple of people in the chat with first time or something like that.
Yeah, Kevin Jackson says,
hey, I cannot see anything right now because my computer, on the Google is struggle.
Yeah, so we had Kevin Jackson said, breaking news, Doug Wilson will be GM of the San Jose Sharks this season. And then Lior says, LeBlanc on a good team would be a good deal, but not in the Sharks. And you're probably right. Like he's a 45, 50-point player. He's good offensive winger. He's a top 6 capable guy. So it's at 4.7, it's not horrible. But Doug Wilson is past it. I would agree with this. This is why we kind of gave him a D. People are talking about the Galchenyuk signing. I haven't seen any confirmation of that. If he goes back to Montreal, I think that's a terrible move for Montreal. I don't get why they would do that.
Yeah.
That seems really strange to me. All right, so I think let's switch it up. We have one final GM, which we
can hold for tomorrow, Michael. That's no big deal.
Yeah, okay. So let's push Stan Bowman to tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not a problem. But before we leave, we have this. The Edmonton Oilers have signed a forward Tyler Benson to a 1-year contract, a 2-week contract extension for Mr. Benson. I think Benson is a pretty good player. I think, you have to be a little bit more, waiting a little bit more, but I think it's pretty good about that one over there. Give you an idea also for Michael to take a note about this. I think it's really important to know that the salary of Neil Pionk Pionk, I'm sorry, it's 3.5, 6.5, 7.5, and then 6.0 on the salary cap. So maybe that's the modification of your on your cap salary. Is not going to be 5.9 at the beginning.
Interesting.
Yeah, 5.8 cap hit at some point. So another really interesting trait over there. He talked about Galchenyuk, but I've been honest with you, I cannot find this nowhere
I don't
about
see it anywhere. I
Galchenyuk.
hope it's
So I don't
true.
know. I
That'd
don't
be
know
a
where you
terrible
get
place
that.
for him to go.
I'm sorry again.
That would be the worst place for him to go.
I don't know. I think the owners of the bar would be happy in Montreal, but
Maybe that's why.
I don't know. But I don't know where did you see this Anor tap? Because right now usually I'm very plugged with all the social media, everything like that, and right now I don't have anything, Michael, about that.
Did want to also mention the LA Kings signed Brant Clark to his entry-level contract. It'll be interesting to see because I don't think he's that far from the NHL, Pierre. And then the other one that I saw was I thought it was Mike Hartman, but it's not. It's someone else.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I struggle with I cannot click anything right now on my computer, but at least I'm not lose the show, so that's good things.
Yeah. Pionk has been the Jets' best defenseman since Morrissey's struggles started, but Morrissey's played very well. I don't know why you would say he struggled. Morrissey's
it is because he did not play well the year prior that one over there. He has not a great year until he reached the series. The last 10 games in the series have a better way, but overall, Michael, he didn't have a great year with the Winnipeg Jets as a defenseman number one.
Yeah, he's not a number one. That's probably why.
That's the problem he gets right now. He's on the wrong chair.
I think that Pionk is a very good number two, number three, and they won that trade with Jacob Trouba. Given the crazy contract Trouba signed, Pionk's been much better. He's smaller, but he's overall
now, Michael, you mentioned something what is important. Morrissey was looking good, Michael, when Trouba was there.
Yeah, because Trouba's more defensive. He's a bigger guy, and I think he takes.
It's because he was on the right chair.
And Trouba's not a number one to me, but neither is Morrissey. Morrissey's like a really good number two. So the hope is they hope Ville Heinola comes and breaks through.
Yeah,
that's what they need. 100%. All right, Pierre, we've done a lot today. So can the Kings make a deep playoff run in the next 5 years? I think that it remains to be seen, but I like what they've done. They've given themselves an opportunity to be a very good team for a long time. We'll find out. What that means, who knows? It's way too early to tell. At some point, Kopitar and Doughty and Brown go away, and who's the star?
I don't know if you answer because I'm behind everything right now. I try to figure out, but they will make the playoff in the next 3 years.
They will make the playoffs, but I don't know if that means they make a run for the Stanley Cup.
No.
He's saying, will they make a deep run? And I have no idea.
I don't think so. They would be ready for the playoff. The problem to get in 3 years, whether a rookie step up or they get better, Michael. Now you're getting the age of Kopitar.
That's exactly what I said. Doughty and Kopitar will be useful this year and next year, but they're getting older. They're not young.
The problem with Throwery, you're going to carry on his contract at $11 million, why he hurt you because he's not $11 million contract.
Yeah, not anymore.
I will mention, I was going to have a question, Michael. All the defensemen they sign up right now, Werenski, Zed John, Makar, who I forget one for sure.
Doug Hamilton.
Do I need another one?
Darnell
Nurse. Right?
Is any one of those a number one aside from Cale Makar?
So my question to you, which one of them going to have a worst contract?
The worst?
In the next, and after that, like like a 6 year from today, which one of the players mentioned? Nurse, Jones, Hamilton, Werenski, and Cale Makar. Which one you think?
So the good news is they're all relatively young. I think the oldest might be Seth Jones in that group, right?
Well, I think Hamilton and John are 28.
So those are the ones that are at risk for sure.
Because Warrenski is 23, McCall 22 at that area.
Yeah.
Who's the next one? Nurse, maybe 26, I believe. No?
25, 26, yeah. So I think that the biggest risk is Dougie Hamilton. He's always been a consistent offensive producer. He's not a good defensive player. The thing about Nurse is he'll always give you 110%. He protects his teammates. He's mean. He skates well, and his offense is pretty good generally. It's a little inconsistent year to year, but overall it's pretty good. So I think that the biggest risk for me is probably Hamilton. But, if Darnell Nurse goes back to being a 25-point defenseman, that's an expensive contract, Pierre.
Yeah, for me, I'll be honest with you, it's going to be Zed Jones.
Well, Seth Jones's offensive numbers are not that good.
The last 2 years, the worst of the analytic number, everything like I follow and all, is the worst contract he's going to get. He's already struggled, Michael, already for the last 2 years. And he's not going to be for 9.25, I believe, something like that. He's not going to be at the end of his contract. Said he's going to be a good, I believe, for everything. I think Hamilton, Michael, is the only one scored double-digit every year. So I'm not worried about his contract. For me, Nurse, I'm not worried because right now he's going to be a little bit better for the next. He's going to get a peak, his prime the next 3 years, 4 years. They are too younger over there. I think Michael is a steal.
Oh, see, that's the thing. Makar is going to be a number one.
Michael is a steal. He does not get enough money.
He got enough money, but the other guys got too much. And Werenski could be. Werenski's got a 20-goal capability. Like he can really shoot the puck. But I'd take Jones over Nurse. I'm not sure. I think they're very comparable. And I think Nurse is meaner. Like Nurse is a guy you want on your team because he's going to stand up for guys. He'll pound guys.
Yeah.
The thing about these other guys is Dougie Hamilton tough? No. Is Seth Jones? Not really.
No.
Like you go down the list. Werenski, is he tough? He ain't tough. The guy out of all of those that has got some sandpaper is Darnell Nurse, and he's got the skill and the size, and he's good defensively.
He's a horse, right? He's going to play 26 minutes, 27 minutes per game easily about that. I'm not worried about Darnell Nurse, but Villar will bring a lot of good comments over there. And also welcome Jackson. I don't know, Jackson, you are a returner or not. If not, please subscribe and invite everybody to click on the likes. That'd be awesome if you don't mind to do it. And I'm in and out right now, Michael. Sometimes I don't hear you every time. That's why I apologize.
Would you trade Ty Smith for Ryan Pelling? No, never, ever. Why would you do that? I mean, Montreal would, but New Jersey's not on crack. That's a number one defenseman for a guy that might play fourth line in the NHL.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how Hamilton plays without Giordano or Slavin. Well, we know how he's going to play because he played in Calgary and he played in Boston, and he'll struggle a little bit. He's improved on, but his thing is he can shoot the puck. He's got good offensive numbers. He's not amazing one-on-one. He's not horrible, but he's not a number one defenseman in my mind.
I agree with you.
Well, I think it depends who they pair him with. Who's 5'10"? Ty Smith is not 5'10". Ty Smith is like 6'1".
Who?
I guess he's. It's interesting. Actually, they're listing Ty Smith as 5'11". I thought he was a little bigger than that, but maybe not. Maybe he is 5'11". Yeah, he's listed at 5'11". Ty Smith. We've seen Ty Smith in the WHL. He is going to be a very good defenseman. He will be a top. He might not be a number one, but he's definitely a very good number two.
Yeah.
Like, I have no worries. I think they got a great player there. He killed us, Pierre. Like, Ty Smith in the playoffs destroyed us. Yeah, unfortunately, Pierre, I think your internet's having trouble.
Yeah, possible.
We can see you talking, but there's no words. I don't know if you're actually talking or if that was before. Not paying Jones to be tough. Nurse is tougher, agreed. Jones has better ceiling. I don't think he has a better ceiling. I think that the skill of Jones and Nurse is like identical. And Nurse is a little younger. The question is, can he be the offensive player he was this year? I think so. He's generally had pretty good offensive numbers. I never saw him as a 15, 20 goal scorer, but I think that'll be a bit of an aberration. But Seth Jones ain't a goal scorer, man. He's got like 5-6 goals a year. So I don't know how great Seth Jones is. I don't know. Yeah, I think watching both of them a lot, I think it's kind of a toss-up for me. I kind of like Darnell. And he's younger. Like, Darnell's definitely younger. But yeah, it's a good comparison. That's why they got compared, right? All right, Pierre. I think Pierre's having trouble with his internet. We're going to wrap this up. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We will see you on the next Pucks and Dreams and Hockey Nation Live morning show. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow. We will get to the Chicago Blackhawks assessment of Stan Bowman.